You might not think a cozy, relaxing game like Miscellaneous A Tiny Tale would start off with a bang, but it does. A mysterious explosion rocks the world of Buddy and Bagboy, setting them off to investigate its origin and clean up the trash and golden cogs that spread across the landscape. There are no people or animals in this universe, only robots with some characters being cleverly created out of miscellaneous parts. There's a hint that humans did exist, perhaps a nod about the current state of the environment, but the messaging is geared more towards social interactions. And while this game at a glance looks chibi robo-like, that is one series I missed out on. It did remind me of Pikmin at times, being a really small character in garden areas, and also Banjo-Kazooie, with its circular level design, some banter between friends, and golden collectibles that you often earn from helping out different NPCs you talk to in the world. There are 10 of these spread across each world, and you have to find a minimum amount of them to open up a gate to move on, with the sign guy plopping down signs just ahead of you giving a helping hand across the way. Knowing there's a character placing down these signs certainly made me want to read them more than usual. There are some light puzzles, but a majority of the game is finding collectibles and fetch quests to help out characters. These charming characters stood out to me the most, and many of them had positive messages. And each world also features a separate platforming challenge you can tackle, but it's optional, you don't have to if you don't want to. A huge part of the game is also cleaning up each world. You pick up trash, and depending on the size, you can mash a button to pick it up faster. At first, some of this trash blended into the environment for me, but I became accustomed to what to look for, and thank the developers for not relying on yellow paint. There's also sweeping up gunk or dust in places, and this was meditative, but I wish it was a little quicker. If you can't find all the trash in a level, the game is generous in loaning out a trash radar, but once you use it, any trash collected in that level won't contribute to points, and also letting you finish the level and go back for any remaining trash later. I did find myself normally finding about 90% of the trash without really trying to dig for it. And there is a fair amount of incentive to collect all the trash in every level for a golden cog, recycling it for bolts to buy items, and unlocking letters to read. Out of all the 8 levels, I would say the Scorched Kingdom was a highlight. It set up its own unique story the best, with the guard not letting you enter until you buy cat ears to wear due to the Queen's decree. You meet 3 villagers in town who are against this, and want to dress as they see fit. To help them, you end up venturing to the Outer Badlands, ultimately coming back for a showdown with the Queen, and some great build-up with the characters. A lot of the other levels had individual characters doing their own thing in spots, but this one had the best singular theme. I will call out though they had to sweep sand in sand, but maybe that's for the best instead of what a cat could have been leaving behind in a sand kingdom. Throughout the game I loved the story and most of the settings, especially when I reached a high point to see what my surroundings actually were, but mechanically some of the things could have been better. The distance or angle to interact with an object felt off at times, such as if I was too close to them, and at times I had issues choosing the intended target if there were multiple options in a close area. When issues like this would pop up, I'd be thinking, there's so much good stuff in this game, how could this be a problem? You receive a safety pin sword, but I didn't find myself using it too often despite my inner being striving to cut every piece of grass in Game Worlds. What was interesting was finding out that enemies couldn't hurt me in return, but only stun me momentarily. There's no health bar, the only penalty is to lose a bit of time. A similar approach to damage was done with falling from great heights, with the sound effect and a reaction indicating, hey, that should have hurt, before setting off on my way again. Speaking of jumps though, most levels have some decent verticality to them, and platforms that unlock along the way. Buddy has a floating double jump, and combine that with hovering and an option to dive at the end, I found myself almost able to make it halfway across the map in some cases. I was hesitant on some landings though, and a butt stomp could have made things a little easier. There are quite a few cutscenes in A Tiny Tale, and they were surprisingly high quality. Even some of them had songs with lyrics. I was a little disappointed that some of the best potential gameplay was relegated to a cutscene, which is understandable, but I would have preferred to have some agency in it. All these cutscenes and the gameplay itself ran fine on Switch 1 for me. To play on Switch 2 or Steam, you can expect better graphics than what you see here. One time the game was stuck while loading and I had to reset, but the developers mentioned there will be a day 1 patch. Speaking of the developers, there are only 3 of them working on this game for 5 years, and with price point being more of a concern with some games these days, this indie title will be going for $20 at launch on July 22nd. And some final thoughts. Throughout the story, this game reiterated an important message to be yourself. It's tempting to change to fit in, but you have to be you. And while it might look like it's for kids on the exterior, there are some surprisingly grown-up topics in here, and not the innuendo joke kind. There are a few tough platforming challenges too to mix things up, such as a race on ice that I had to try multiple times, and a final, optional platforming segment that seemingly goes on forever and has no checkpoints. In closing, Miscellaneous: A Tiny Tale is fantastic for those looking for a cozy, relaxing platforming adventure full of touching moments, positive messages, and twists along the way. While I wish some of the gameplay was a tad more polished or had deeper puzzles at times, it had a moving story and the game succeeds in its strengths, and does offer some pretty good platforming at times. Thank you for watching, and if you want to check out another indie game, take a look at this one over here.